This is John for John's Beat and the Everyday Fan. Today I have the pleasure of being on the beat with Cazzey Cereghino, who you will see very soon in the near future in the Iron Claw. How are you, sir?
I'm very good, very good. Thank you for asking. How about
Thank
you?
you. I'm great. Thank you for your time. Ordinarily, if I interview someone like you with the vast background that you have, I would have a million different questions, but I really want to get into the Iron Claw. But I'm just going to ask you a couple quick questions. You're an author, you're a songwriter, you're an actor. You play the most characters of anybody in Super Bowl ads. Was this by design that you did all these various things, or did it just sort of happen in your career and you just chose various paths?
I'd say more the latter. It kind of happened as a result of just being in the entertainment industry. I started out as a singer-songwriter and had only planned on doing that, and then I got more opportunities as I came out to LA for acting and the stunt work, and I got into the writing because I was already working for some casting agencies, and then when I started with my agency, I was just there to write books and wanted to get in with the literary department to sell the books, and print department came over and asked if they could submit me on some print jobs, and I was clean shaven. I had short cropped hair. Now my hair is really long, as you remember from the movie, and I've got a long beard. It's all pinned up, but they asked if they could send me on some print jobs. I'm like, I'm not a model. And same thing happened with the commercial department for acting, and then the theatrical for TV and movies. And I wanted to get my music and my books promoted, and ended up getting into acting, and it was pretty much a huge blessing because the publishing industry, both for music and books, is fading.
And
Yeah,
it's worked out well for you so far, and
still make a living as an actor and a stuntman.
Well, since you brought up your beard, I saw a funny video of you're a crazy workout guy. I mean, I've read about your legendary workouts. The beard workout, is that legit?
The beard workout?
You did a beard pull up?
Oh, my buddy Erich, the trainer, used to do those videos, and they'd have me drop my beard down, and he'd see if I could pull up all the way over my beard, because my beard comes out to about like here when I let it out, and see if I could pull up all the way over it.
And you did.
I don't remember, did I?
Yes, you did. It was quite impressive. You were way up there.
Well, I do a lot of pull ups still, so it's a good workout.
Well, okay, so let's get into the Iron Claw. Before the movie, were you a fan of wrestling?
I was mostly a fan of wrestling when I was a little kid. And some of my fandom of pro wrestling was a result of my older cousins and my big brother kind of forcing it upon me. I mean, we had, there were all boys there on the farm, so it was one of those things where we all wrestled anyway. But I remember I want to say it was either my 5th or my 6th birthday, I was given the option of a brand new coat, which I could go to the store and pick out, or tickets to go watch the British Bulldogs versus Nikolai Volkov and the Iron Sheik. And I remember my cousins and my older brother pushed me in the closet, said, you're gonna pick the wrestling tickets because we want to go too. And I was thinking, well, I want a new coat. But yeah, I was a wrestling fan when I was young, in the early era of Hulk Hogan and Junkyard Dog and Hillbilly Jim and Andre the Giant, probably up until about 87, 88, 89. And then
Sure.
Lost a little bit of interest in it.
I mean, I'm about 15 years older than you, so the Von Erichs were pretty much in my heyday watching wrestling. Yep. I love the Von Erichs. Right. Okay. You were probably a little too young to have seen them in their prime.
Yeah.
Okay. So what drew you to this picture?
Honestly, it's work.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, look, was it enjoyable to do a biopic? Absolutely. I enjoy history, and then going back and studying into the history and reading up on the characters that are in this movie was terrific, and it was awesome to be part of. But yeah, the Von Erichs were, I knew of them. They weren't in my wheelhouse as far as my favorites, but what a cool experience it was to recreate some of these characters I knew on screen, get a chance to, go down there and film and hang out with Ric Flair, the real Ric Flair, not even the actor playing Ric Flair came out. And, and then, even like at the premiere and so forth last week, getting to hang out with, the last Von Erich of the brothers.
Kevin.
Yeah.
So you played Bruiser Brody. How much research did you have to do on Bruiser Brody? Or did you just basically have to go with the script?
Well, no, I mean, of course I went and did research on him because it was, a lot of the same thing like with the Von Erichs. It was like I knew a little bit about him, but I didn't know most of the backstory. When when I was told that, there was 6 brothers and only one of them lived to be, old, not even old. I mean, the rest of them, died pre like 32.
Yeah.
So, I had to go back and research that story. But it was the same thing with Bruiser Brody. I mean, I knew he had been stabbed to death. I knew that, he'd been killed, and that was pretty much the extent of it. So, going back and studying up on his history and his life and so forth was good for me. Good for me to kind of get a backstory on the character, and yeah, it was enjoyable.
How much wrestling did you have to learn in terms of, moves, taking the bumps, giving the hits?
Majority of it was, I was pretty thankful in the regards that we had some great, choreographers there, but we also had most of the other wrestlers that were in the movie they are professional wrestlers or have dabbled in professional wrestling. So, you were working with a lot of good guys to wrestle against. Even the stunt doubles for for the main actors were mostly wrestlers in the past, or some of them still currently. So for me, it was a pretty easy gig as far as stunts go, because you're working with a lot of pros, and that sometimes is difficult when you're when you're doing not just pro wrestling stuff, but we're doing any stunt stuff, and you're in scenes with actors or with other stunt guys who really don't have the background. So as far as learning a lot, I mean, for this movie, it was a lot of just learning the choreography as far as where we were going with each of the matches. And as you'll see when you watch the movie, I think that there's only really part of a match or two that I'm in, but we did a lot more than that. Sure. Obviously a lot of it ends up on the cutting room floor, but I don't know if I had to learn so much of the moves as much as I had to just get comfortable with the people I was wrestling, and then not learn the moves with them, but get comfortable executing them with the wrestler I was wrestling at the time.
Did your opinion of wrestling at all change through the process?
My opinion of wrestling?
Yeah, like is there something that you learned or appreciate more or appreciate less?
I don't know if I necessarily, the thing I really took away from this project, not just watching the movie, but from the backstory and so forth, was I can't really say the same so much for Fritz, because he was in the wrestling world himself, but how much I felt a deep remorse for their mother. And so that's something that, I guess I never really thought about with wrestling before, is that wrestlers all have parents at home too, and they're watching them on TV getting slammed and beaten and, hit with folding chairs and thrown out of the ring. And, people say, well, it's fake. No, it's not fake. It's choreographed. You're still having to take all those hits and those bumps. And if you look at not just the Von Erich family, but so many wrestlers that don't live very long because they get addicted to painkillers, they get addicted to, basically trying to work around all their previous injuries and still trying to go out on the road and do, 300 days a year. That was the first thing that I actually asked Kevin about. And then Carrie's 2 daughters were, I got to hang out with them, and it was the same thing. I'm like, your poor grandmother. And they were, no. She was actually a really, really upbeat, wonderful woman. And, but I think about all the other mothers that had, wrestlers. My mom, for example, when I wrestled, she hated watching it. She's like, you're going out there and you're getting beat up, and, it just hurt her. And my dad would have to calm her down, be like, Nancy, it's part of the thing. That's how it goes. Same thing when I played football, I'd get, smacked sometimes, and she'd just be like, oh,
of course, she's a mom.
So that's probably the thing that I forgot about. I don't really think I ever thought about with pro wrestling until, I got into this film, and I thought, man, these people have parents. Fritz, not so much because he was in the industry, but their mother, who wasn't,
right,
had to have 6 sons, 5 of them which became wrestlers, and 4 of them essentially, to some degree cost them their lives.
Yeah, it's tragic, but a fantastic story. I can't wait to watch it. I know it's supposed to premiere December 22nd, I believe.
Yep, coming out Christmas time.
Just in time. So I have to ask, it might be a silly question. Did Kevin Von Erich show you the claw? Did you get the claw put on you?
Oh, he was actually taking pictures with a lot of people with the claw on their head and so forth. So, yeah.
Did you avoid it though, or did you get it? I mean, like I would
Me,
have to
me
get it just for the
personally,
experience.
no, me personally, I didn't get one with him. We went, like I said, went right into talking about his mother and his father, and you know, and he was really upbeat about the idea of her just being such a woman of great faith and how she was. I wouldn't say it didn't get her down. Obviously, losing 5 of your children would get anyone down, but
Right.
that she was always just so adamant that, that's okay. I'm going to see him again.
Yeah,
And it's
I
like,
had I had the pleasure
wow.
of interviewing Kevin years ago, and he's a super
Yep.
nice guy, just an
Yeah,
incredibly
he
nice
really
guy.
is. Really is.
So do you still get a thrill of seeing yourself on the big screen, seeing yourself like in the finished product? Is it still really a big thrill?
Quite the opposite. I actually kind of get a little uncomfortable seeing myself on screen.
Really?
Oh yeah. I think I think to a lot of degree, I don't like necessarily having the focus of the room, having the attention come on me and be like, oh, Cazzey, that's you. And it's just like, I don't know if it's an anti-vanity thing or if it's I don't know. It always has made me slightly uncomfortable. I don't mind watching it. I'm not one of those people that won't watch my stuff at all. I don't mind watching it when I'm by myself because then I can critique, then I can stop and pause and be like, I could have done this, then I could have, changed this. But when I'm in the room, like if like for example, if my family gets together because I have a new TV show coming out or something, I've done that a few times, and I sit in the room with my brothers and their wives and my parents and sometimes even the grandkids. And if it's something I haven't seen yet, I don't know exactly what to expect. And then sometimes when it comes on, all of a sudden I'm just like, oh no, I wish they hadn't said that. I wish they hadn't put that in there. Oh, and then I'm kind of looking around the room going, how's this going to be taken? So, so a lot of it is still a level of discomfort where I don't like the attention on me, but I also don't like I don't know if I'm going to have to face their critiques as much as I'm going to have to figure out how to accept the compliments, which is probably even more difficult for me. The compliments just make me kind of feel like, thank you. What do I say? Like this is my job. I mean, I don't go to a plumber and be like, dude, you're the greatest plumber ever. I can't believe you fixed my toilet. And he'd be like, this is what I do for a living,
I never looked at it that way, but you make a good point with that.
Well, that's how I've made my living for the last 20 or 25 years. It's like, people get super thrilled about it. And I feel very blessed and fortunate. I have a job that I love doing. And I know it's something that people come from all over the world to live here in Los Angeles to be able to do. And I get to do it for work. It's like they pay me to do dress up and make believe. And sometimes, like in this movie, I have to get beat up while I'm doing, to do dress up and make believe. But it's still like I'm doing something I know most people are really kind of thrilled by because they're like, you didn't follow a regular, pathway of getting a steady, regular job, which is good and is bad. But it does make me sometimes a little thrown off when people are like, so awesome you did this, or I saw you in this and it was so awesome. I'm just kind of like, yeah, but again, that's what I do for work. It's my job.
Well, then once I see the movie, I won't come back to say how awesome it was. I'll just say I enjoyed your work.
There you go.
Cazzey, before I let you go, tell everybody where they can find out more information about you and any other future projects you got going.
Information about me?
Yeah, the social media, if you want to plug anything.
I guess if you want to, get online, yeah, I find myself sometimes online in places I didn't know where I existed.
Well, I found you.
Well, again, it's easy to find me online because I don't think there's anybody else with my name. Even if you just Google my first name, I'm the only one that comes up. If you spell it correctly, at least. I mean, last week, when we did the premiere, the Dallas newspaper came over and interviewed me a bit, and then I ended up on the newspaper. Of course, that was misspelled as Cassie, and I was like, oh no, I got a girl's name on the cover of the Dallas newspaper. And that's not the first time. Matter of fact, growing up, I used to get beauty pageant entries. My mom would send them back and say, this is, my son, not a girl. But yeah, if you want to Google me, I'm pretty easy to find. I'm the only person with my first name. And even if you put my last name in, as of right now, I'm pretty much the only one that shows up. I think that that'll change because I've got some pretty stellar nieces and nephews that are going to be filling up their last name in the Google world above my name pretty soon.
Cool. Well, I appreciate your time, and I encourage everyone to check. I can't wait for this. My friends and I have been waiting for this movie from the first time we heard about it. We're definitely going to be out there seeing it. I will shoot your message after because I got to tell you how I like it. I won't compliment you too much, so I appreciate it. But
You'll enjoy it. You'll enjoy it, and you have to give some good kudos to some of the main actors like Zach and Jeremy, who really did huge body transformations in order to do the role. I mean, the amount of months of training they did to be able to look the part of professional wrestlers was pretty intensive.
Yeah, I've seen the pictures. It's a great casting too, I gotta say. And you as Bruiser Brody is spot on. So,
well, I'll tell you a little something about that before we go.
Sure.
When I first got the booking, I was thinking, I don't know how I'm going to pull this off because Bruiser Brody's 6'8". I'm only 6'2". So I'm thinking, I don't know how you're going to make me look 6'8". But when you're wrestling Jeremy Allen White, who's 5'7", and Zac Efron, who's 5'8", and they're both playing guys that are supposed to be 6'2", all of a sudden I'm like, all right, movie magic. I got this. Now I can look 6'8" when I'm wrestling a 5'7" and a 5'8" guy.
There you go. Exactly.
Yeah.
Cazzey, really, it's been a real pleasure. I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate it because I know it's a busy time for you with the movie coming out, but I really appreciate it. And good luck. I'm sure it's going to be a success. I will be one of the first to see it, my friend.
I appreciate it, John.
Thank you, buddy.
You betcha. Take care.